Hola mi gente bella y bienvenidos a mi canal. My name is Sandra. If this is your first time here, and welcome to my channel. In this channel, you'll be learning and I'll be speaking about everything high-end or luxury candle making business tips. So, as you can tell by the title of this video, we will be discussing candle making tips, right? So, I know that candle making kits are a great way to get your feet wet into candle making, and it is a very easy and straightforward approach to learning how to make candles. And finding candle making kits is as easy as a simple Google search and locating a candle supplier to get a kit and be on your way to starting your candle making business. This is how I started my candle making business, with a candle making kit. I say this a lot in many of my videos, especially the first few videos that I made on my channel. But how ideal is it to start your candle business with a ready-to-make candle kit that makes perfect candles each and every time? So in this video, I will be discussing 3 tips to candle making kits, and are candle making kits an ideal starting point for your candle business? So, most candle making kits are composed of soy wax, wicks, jars, and fragrances, and they are already pre-packaged. So, the first tip for this video will be aware of packaged or pre-packaged products. So let me explain. Most kits are soy wax kits, which has pros and cons. So the pros is that soy making kits are easier for the supplier to ship and measure because soy comes in flakes. It's safer for the environment, hence it's made out of soy. Many people would lean towards using soy as opposed to using paraffin wax. Soy wax is a lot cheaper than using palm wax or beeswax, although it's a little bit much more expensive than using paraffin. However, it is better to use soy wax as opposed to paraffin because of it's easier to, ship and send to you as a consumer, and it's also a lot less messier to use than paraffin, and it's easier to use than beeswax because beeswax, some of them do come in a very hard wax substance. Now, obviously, when you have pros, there's always the cons. So the cons is that certain scents don't work well with soy wax, and if you're going to use color with soy, the colors might not be too vibrant. So if you're concerned about the environment, soy wax has been linked to deforestation. It is also a concern that there's a percentage of soy wax that is genetically modified, and I do explain more about the pros and cons in another video of mine about soy, paraffin, and coconut wax, in another video of mine that I'll put up here in the info card above, and I'll also put it over here somewhere so that you guys will see that video if you have not watched it already. And that's where I explain more about soy wax, paraffin wax, and coconut wax. Another thing to look out for in kits is that with kits, as a new candle maker, you're confined to only knowing how to work with that particular wax, that particular wick, and those jars that come in that wick, in that kit, meaning that the kits are foolproof, so to speak. So therefore your candles will come out looking great, which is a plus for you because you'll have a perfect wax each and every time, However, you'll have a false belief that all wax, all wicks, and all vessels will perform exactly the same using wax, wick, and vessel combination, which in turn will lead you as the new candle maker to believe that the controlled environment, which is the candle making kit, which is a controlled kit because it is made specifically to work well with all those combinations, will make you feel as if you have made a perfect wick, a perfect candle every time when you purchase more wax, more wick, and more jars, even though those conditions can be changed when you do purchase those items separately. And also, something that I have came across about some wicks is that they don't necessarily tell you, what the manufacturer or the candle supplier that you purchase the kit from don't necessarily tell you what size the wicks that you're using. Some kits include more wax than you need. The fragrances used in the wicks are made specifically to work well with the wax wicks combination that you have in that kit. And they give you precisely how much fragrance you should be using for that wax, and they don't give you the actual formula on how to measure your fragrances to work with your candle kit. So the kits, more often than not, will not tell you that the conditions in that kit are made specifically for that kit, meaning that it's going to leave you as a candle maker to believe that every time that you use any candle wax, wick, fragrance, and jar combination, it should work very well without any glitches or hitches or any mistakes whenever you make a candle. You also will not know how to troubleshoot issues such as sooting, high flames, tunneling, how much fragrance to use when making larger or smaller batches, your wicks not working well with different vessels, the formula again to use to calculate how much fragrance to use when adding fragrances to your melted wax. What about uneven tops that you might not know that can occur on your candles when you make candles and they already cure? You also the wax not adhering to the side of the jar, and this is particularly true for clear vessels, because if you are purchasing a kit that contains a tin can, you wouldn't be able to see that the sides of the jar does not adhere to the candle wax because you're using a tin can which is not clear. Tip numero dos. Kits gives new candle makers a false sense of hope. In other words, a candle making kit gives a new candle maker the false hope of making perfect candles every time. And as a new candle maker, when you want to go out and recreate the same controlled candle making kit environment on a larger scale, you realize that one, you don't like the candle tin cans that came with the kit, so you purchase other nicer vessels that hold the same amount of grams or ounces of wax, but the diameter and the shape of the jar are completely different from the kit. But as the new candle maker, you don't realize this mishap, so you purchase the same wicks that you use in the kit for your new vessels and find out that it doesn't work, or you don't do any testing because since it worked for you in the kit, you don't try to test out your new vessels and sell those candles, and then you have complaints from customers. Or you don't measure the amount of fragrance needed, so you either add too much fragrance or not enough fragrance, and again, either you don't test your candles thinking that it should perform well because, hey, you know, if it worked in the kit, then it should work in this scenario as well, because again, you sell this candle to consumers or customers, and then you get another complaint that there isn't enough scent in that candle. Or 3, you don't like how the soy wax candle crumbles on the top, and if you already worked with soy, you should see this issue on the tops. Not every time, but the majority of the time it does happen as you test burn your candles and you can't figure out why. So you want to change the wax that you're using, but there's so much negative stigma about using paraffin that you're skeptical about using paraffin, and then you try with all odds to make that soy wax work and get frustrated. This is not, the rule of thumb. It might not be this exaggerated scenario, but as a new candle maker, you don't know that this is going to happen, and you don't expect this to happen, and when it does happen, you might not know what to do. And this also goes for using fragrances in soy wax. So again, not all fragrances work well with soy wax. However, because you use the same amount of fragrance in the kit, you use the same amount of fragrance in your large batch, so you change to another wax only to get stuck back in square one because you didn't know that once you change a wax or the vessels or the wick or any other variables in your candle making steps, you must also restart the testing process. So these are things that you might not know as a new candle maker, because when you do purchase a candle kit, these are things that you don't know. So then you get stuck, and you don't want to get stuck. So my tip número 3, know where to purchase your kits. Purchasing candle kits from Amazon, eBay, or any other place that isn't a candle supply store that specializes in candle making is very, very cautious. Purchase with cautious, but I would encourage you not to purchase from these locations where they're not specializing in candle making. This also goes hand in hand with purchasing candle dyes, fragrances, wicks, or jars. Okay, now a disclaimer, because I know some people are going to come for me in the comments. There might be an exception to the rule that I'm sure there will be people in the comments saying that
I bought kits, jars, fragrances, wicks, and dyes from those places, and they have worked well for me.
That's great and dandy, but to be on the safe side, purchase all your candle making supplies from candle suppliers. Particularly because if it's a popular item, 9 times out of 10, the likelihood of it being discontinued will be less because of the demand for the product. If there is an issue with the product, you can contact customer service for a replacement or refund, and if it's a major reported issue, the supplier will pull back the item, correct the issue, upgrade it, and inform consumers of the changes. Candle suppliers will make sure that the products that they are selling are ethically sourced and safe, especially if they want to keep you as a customer happy and coming back for more. Again, there might be some exceptions on these suppliers, but the majority of them do comply with keeping stuff environmentally safe and safe for you as a consumer and for you to sell to other customers. Also, purchasing items from a candle suppliers, you'll get notified on new products and sales pertaining to your niche and what you're selling, as opposed to purchasing from a marketplace that resembles like a Walmart, which sells many things that don't necessarily pertain to you as a candle maker, but they send you all these notices for items that you don't particularly need or sell in your store. Lastly, purchasing your kits from a candle supplier store, you can always repurchase the same items in bulk from the candle supplier store so that you can have the exact same products to recreate in a larger scale or larger batches when you are going to make it to resale. Plus, you have comments and or reviews in those items to see if those items do work, don't work, what work well with others, and you'll have more of an idea what to do and what not to do from other candle makers in that community. So in sum, make sure that you use a candle making kit as practice and not as a means to start your business without knowing exactly what other waxes are there to work with, other wicks that you can use, a plethora of vessels that you can introduce to your candle line, and knowing formulas to use for your fragrances, and also essential supplies to use for your business. I have a video that will give you the supplies that are essential for candle making, and I'll put that information in the info card above and in the description box below, as well as on the screen, so you'll see what that video looks like, so you can see it if you have not seen it already. Although candle making kits are a way to start learning about making candles, make sure that after you check out the kits, you enjoy the candle making process, that you also do your research, because you need to be aware of prepackaged products, because a lot of prepackaged products are made perfectly to work well together. Also, know that kits gives new candle makers a false sense of hope, making you feel as if every time you use any other candle wax vessels, that every time it'll work exactly the same as the kit. And finally, get your kit from a reputable supplier. Don't get it from a place in which you cannot get feedback from, or they only sell that one item and that's it, because it might not work for you, and then you won't be able to get a refund or get assistance to assist you in your candle making. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have any questions pertaining to kits or where to get them, leave a comment down below and I will respond in a timely manner. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that you could be in the know of my next video. Hasta la próxima. Bye, mi gente bella.